This is fine. This is okay. I can live with this on my desk. As you can see, it's a little bit different today. I'm not sitting at my desk as normal, but I'm sitting on the floor of like a random place. We actually had a really terrible radroach infestation in our house, so we had to like flee our apartment and seek shelter. That isn't even remotely true. But anyway, in the process of fleeing our apartment, I grabbed the first PC I could get my hands on, which actually happened to be the Acer Nitro 50 pre-built mod that I did a couple of days ago. Now that works very well, the hardware is nice and powerful and all that, but as I discussed in that video, we have some pretty serious GPU overheating problems. Now as you can see here, after this is like the third match of Escape from Tarkov, and this is about 20 minutes in, I actually set the GPU fan curve to 60% fan speed, because at that point it can cool the GPU more or less, and it's not so loud that it just makes me go crazy, because I have the PC standing right next to me. The problem is though, as you can see here, it hits 83 degrees C, and then it starts throttling. Now, it's not actually throttling, it's just not boosting as high as normally. It should be boosting to around 1800 megahertz on the core, and here it dips down to 1650. It's not a huge deal, but I don't want it running that hot for extended periods of time. Now, considering that I'm not in my normal studio space, I don't have a lot to fix this issue with. Bear in mind that test is running with the side panel open, which also isn't ideal because then it's not as sleepery as it should be. Now, again, in the fleeing process, I couldn't grab much, but one of the things that I grabbed was a tube of thermal paste. So I thought we could repaste the GPU and see how much of a difference that made. And then the second thing that I could grasp onto in a blind panic was a Delta Fan of Fury. Now, that's the only way that you can refer to them because it is a pretty furious little fan. It's a 90mm fan, which means it'll fit in the back of the little Acer pre-built, which triggered a lot of people. People were very angry about the fact that that port was empty. It ramps up all the way to 5,000 RPM, which actually makes it a bit of a loser Delta Fury fan, but it's still pretty ferocious. Now, the first thing that I did after running the control test was take the graphics card out, take it apart, and repaste it. Now, this Zotac RTX 2060 is actually the easiest graphics card ever to repaste. It's only got 6 screws to take the cooler off. That's crazy. It's 2 along the actual like VRM kind of cooling contact area, and then 4 around the GPU contact plate. And then you just take it off. It was super easy. The thermal paste application out of the factory was okay. It wasn't terrible. But so I decided to repaste it using this Scythe thermal paste. Now, this thermal paste doesn't have the highest thermal conductivity. It's not like Cryonaut or whatever. But we'll see. Let's put it on there and see how much of a difference that makes. When it comes to the actual thermal paste application for GPU repasting, I like to go the EK method, which is like a star of thermal paste over the center of the GPU die. Like Jay's 2 cents says, if it's good enough for EK, it's good enough for him, and if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. Don't be an idiot when repasting a GPU and forget to plug in the fans of the cooler, because then you're gonna have to repaste the GPU, which may or may not have happened to me. Now, this temperature measurement is after 3 rounds of Tarkov, the same as with the control, and it's the same map and everything. And as you can see, it's running 2 degrees cooler. It's the same ambient temperature, it's just over 15 degrees Celsius, and the biggest difference here is that it's not throttling down the boost clock anymore. It's actually sitting at between 1700 and 1800 megahertz on the core. It doesn't make a huge difference when it comes to frame rates. It's pretty much just for the content at this point, but it's a little bit cooler. The problem is, if we put the side panel back on, yeah, it starts dropping the boost clocks again. We're hitting 83C. Yeah, problem not solved at all here. So this is where the Delta fan comes in. So I kind of screwed it into place. It's got a bit of a weird like 5-pin connector that only has 4 pins actually connected. So why is the other bit there? But I think it has to do with the server motherboard that it was attached to. So at least I can plug it into a 4-pin PWM connector. Now, first off, I set it to 2000 RPM, where at this point it's not moving a huge amount of air. And as you can tell, the temperatures, they're not significantly better. It barely makes a difference in gaming performance. And at this point, all of the components kind of produce the same amount of noise. The AIO, the graphics card at 60% fan speed, and the Delta fan at 2000 RPM. But yeah, this isn't really the point of this video. We want to see what 5000 RPM from a 90mm Delta fan does to the temperatures. And this is what it does. It's better. It's not significantly better, but it's a little bit better. It's pretty much the same performance we got than without the side panel on. Yeah, so basically, to solve the problem of my graphics card being too noisy while gaming, I had to run a Delta fan at 5000 RPM to cancel out the noise. This is a very, very, very useful video. But yes, so problem solved, I guess. Another thing we need to address though is in the first video that I did on this mod, we had really high VRM temperatures on the motherboard, like excruciatingly high VRM temperatures. It hit 100°C and then started throttling. Bear in mind, the ambient temperature in our now radroach infested apartment is much higher than it is here. But I redid the test without the fan on, and we were getting about 83°C after 25 minutes of running AIDA64 on the VRMs. And then, if we have the super uber power fan on there, we're hitting about 72°C on the VRM. So that made a big difference. Again, all you need to cool your VRMs down by about 10 degrees is 5000 RPM of Delta fan fury. With that, it actually brings me to the end of a pretty short video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, share it with your friends, I guess. I'm not going to be streaming later today because I don't have particularly good internet where I am at the moment. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next video, bye-bye.